Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, staff writer Zach Everson. Zach, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Brittany.
This month, Donald Trump will officially be re-entering the White House, and you have some news on someone he's picking for a key role in his administration. This is your headline, that Trump picked a business associate of mega donor Timothy Mellon to lead the Federal Railroad Administration. So first of all, the person that we're talking about is David Fink. So to start off the conversation, who is he?
So Fink is a fifth-generation railroader. He was Donald Trump's pick to lead the Federal Railroad Administration, which is an agency within the Department of Transportation responsible for rail safety and infrastructure funding. And he has worked with Mellon going back decades.
And before he worked with Mellon, his father, who's also named David Fink, also worked with Mellon. So talk to us about how that partnership came to be and what's the relationship with the patriarch David Fink to Timothy Mellon?
Sure. So the elder Fink, Mellon met the elder Fink back in the 70s, according to Mellon wrote in his memoir. At the time, Fink was a manager at the Penn Central Railroad, and Mellon was kind of in between jobs, which is something you can do when you're an heir to that fortune. He had just recently gotten out of the computer business and was working with his nonprofit at the time, which was a group called the Sachem Fund. Now, one of the things he was interested in doing with that foundation was repairing a bridge in Poughkeepsie, New York. And it just turned out that Fink was partially in charge of that bridge. So he says that by chance he met Fink at a League of Women Voters event, and they ended up discussing working on this bridge together. That project went nowhere, but then afterwards they did start working together and founded a company together that made railroad ties.
And Fink, the father, you're reporting, and Mellon's efficiency-minded approach had some pros and cons. So can you talk to us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so they were really not well received by industry. They cut back a lot on employees, I think going from like 5 people to run a train down to 3. They were really focused on efficiency there. They busted strikes, and it was really, they were not beloved by the railroad industry. However, a lot of that efficiency mindedness did eventually become commonplace in the industry.
So then how did David Fink, the one who Trump nominated to run the FRA, how did he get into the fold?
So he joined in September of 1998. He joined his father and Mellon at the company that made the railroad ties. And then later he became an executive vice president of the Guilford Rail System, which is one of the rail systems that that Fink and Mellon, the older Fink and Mellon owned at that time.
And you're reporting that when Fink then became the president of Pan Am Railways, the Federal Railroad Administration audited the company. So talk to us about that time.
So the elder Fink and Mellon bought the old Pan Am brand. They did try to launch an airline with it. It didn't stick, but they used it kind of as an umbrella brand for their railroads that they had purchased. And Fink became the president after that. His father had been the president. There was somebody in between, and then the younger Fink took over. And yeah, they had been, the FRA had audited them in 2021 in the wake of 2 fatal accidents and found that Pan Am's leadership failed to take action to develop a positive safety culture throughout the organization. So here you have an example of a former leader in this company who was chastised by a government watchdog is now going to head that same government watchdog.
Is that a theme, do you think, based on your reporting, based on what you're seeing, of Donald Trump's cabinet and administration picks?
I think it's a theme of the United States government going back as far as I am aware. That's certainly some regulatory capture is a phrase that is, well used around the Beltway to describe when, industry people come in and lead the departments that were once regulating them, which to a certain extent makes sense because these are the people who know that industry. If you were to pick somebody with no railroad experience out there to head the FRA, they probably wouldn't do a great job. So, you are getting somebody with experience in railroads, but you're also getting somebody who may not have the experience that the American people would best benefit from serving in that role.
I do now want to turn to Timothy Mellon, who you characterize as a Trump mega donor. So let's talk numbers here. Just how much has he donated to Donald Trump?
At least $150 million he has spent backing Trump's 2024 campaign, which puts him to be one of the top donors out there that we know of. Off the top of my head, the only person who bests him is Elon Musk.
Huge sum of money there. Has David Fink donated to Donald Trump at all?
Not that I can tell. I did look for that, and there was no evidence of any donations in the FEC records.
So now that Fink is nominated, what's next on his journey to become administrator of the FRA?
So it is a position that does require congressional approval. So there will be a confirmation hearings with the Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. Date has yet to be scheduled. This is the first day right now that the Congress is assembled. So, we expect to have a date for his confirmation hearing probably announced in the next week or so.
Zach, as you and I have discussed, Donald Trump has had some controversial cabinet picks, controversial picks in his administration. Is this one of them?
There's been a little bit of people complaining online, but it's so small. I mean, this is standard industry person here getting a government job. It's nothing compared to what you're looking about with Kash Patel or what Gates was going through or what Hegseth. Like it's nowhere near that. So I don't think it's anything that would derail the nomination. And please apologize for that horrible pun that I did not realize I was saying until after it came out of my mouth.
Well, first pun of 2025, Zach Everson, per usual, thank you so much for your reporting. I'm looking forward to many more.
My pleasure. Happy New Year.